Hey, it's Rachel Cooke, your modern mentor. And today, I want to talk about feeling disconnected at work. Because a lot of us are, but there are steps that we can take to turn things around. So let's talk about some of those. I spent 7 years in my last full-time job. I loved the work for like 3 years. I stayed for 4 more because of the people. I had built really tremendous relationships at work with colleagues and internal clients, vendors, partners, and it felt like my home away from home. Sometimes when my kids were little, it actually felt more like a vacation than being home. But eventually, I got the itch to start my business, and leaving the job was pretty easy. But leaving the people really left a mark. Feeling connection at work matters. It grounds you, it makes you feel part of an ecosystem. It provides space for collaboration and informal learning, and it doesn't have to feel like home or like family. It just has to feel like your being there matters to somebody else, and vice versa. Connection has been a little tough lately. I'm working with teams that are struggling. They've never met in person or haven't seen each other in years. Or they're doing the hybrid thing, but the workplace feels emptier, and it just doesn't feel as connected. Often teams want to continue working remotely. They just also want to feel more connected to each other. I know for me, feeling disconnected, it impacts my energy, my creativity, and my desire to push myself, and not in a good way. What about you? How do you experience disconnection? If you're feeling its impact, here are some strategies I'm seeing people use pretty successfully around me. The first is put it out there. If you're on LinkedIn, and please tell me you're on LinkedIn, you've probably noticed some new frames that people are using around their profile pictures. They say things like hiring or open to work. Personally, I love when people use these. I have a lot of talented people in my network, but when I can make a match between someone looking for a job and someone looking to hire, it makes my day. Anyone could be looking for work or talent on any given day, but only when someone actively puts it out there, like literally in a ring around their face, do I know to be hunting for opportunities on their behalf. I can't guarantee an outcome, but I can certainly lean into trying to help. Now, if you're hunting not for a job, but maybe a stronger connection at work, the same principle applies. You don't need to wear a sign or a badge, though if you're feeling bold, I say go for it. But let people around you know that you're looking to dial up that feeling of camaraderie at work. Putting it out there just invites people to find opportunities to draw you in. Let the people who care about you know that you're hunting. Next, make connecting a real priority. So here's what not to do. Fill your days with back-to-back meetings, throw up your hands, and accept that there just isn't any time to connect because you're overbooked. So what should you do? Make a commitment to yourself, like 2 30-minute coffee dates a week. They go on your calendar and you honor and protect those commitments unless truly something urgent or exceptional bumps them out of the way. Connecting with colleagues for the sole purpose of building relationships is not an extracurricular activity. It's part of the job. It's an enabler of your well-being, of your personal development and your engagement. So treat it accordingly. And if you're unable to truly carve out just 1 or 2 30-minute windows per week, it might be time to talk to your boss about managing your priorities. Next up, try starting a connective channel. I'm seeing teams start Slack channels, share Google Docs, do Friday meetups, all of which are strategies designed just to keep the lines of communication open. You may use the time and space to share vacation pics or book recommendations, or to coach and support each other toward your goals, or just to share wins. There are no hard and fast rules. It's just about having an open conversation that's not about work or implementation timelines or deliverables. Or if your company offers them, you might join an employee affinity or resource group, just to connect you with people who share your background or interests. Creating spaces like this, virtual or in person, gives people an opportunity to get to know each other, to share and celebrate and grow. This is the stuff I miss most from my full-time days. Next, think about following a thread. A great way to connect with people one-on-one is to follow up on something they've said. Maybe a colleague mentioned a book they read, or they shared an interesting idea, or posed a question in a meeting that got you thinking a little differently. Follow up with them a few weeks later. Did you pick up the same book? Let them know what you enjoyed about it. Did you do some research following on their idea? Or maybe their question shifted your thinking into a new place? Pick up the phone and let them know how their words stayed with you. This is such an awesome conversation starter. Next, seek more advice. It's so easy to get lost in the work. I know I'm guilty of this all the time. I put my head down and I fall into the zone. My default is to go it alone and reach out only when I hit a wall and can't figure out a path forward. One of my goals this year is to reach out more, and not just for 911 style help, but for more perspective, more insight from people around me. I have such a wealth of experience and ideas nearby. I should be tapping into those more often. Not only because it bumps up the quality of my work, but because it's connective. I'll never be disingenuous. I won't ask for input where I've already completed the work, but I will be more curious and more open and hungry for collective wisdom. And finally, watch out for signals. If you're feeling disconnected, and I know for sure that so many of you might be, then I guarantee there are people around you who are feeling the same. So keep an eye out. Look for signs. Seek out colleagues who seem to be speaking up less in meetings or haven't shown up at a virtual happy hour in a while. They may be struggling, and now you're armed with a bunch of wisdom that may just help you both. Now get on out there and go connect with somebody today. I hope you'll join me next week for another great episode. Until then, you can follow Modern Mentor on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website at leadabovenoise.com or follow me on the Modern Mentor podcast page on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for listening and have a successful week. Modern Mentor is a quick and dirty tips podcast. It's audio engineered by Dan Farabend with script editing by Adam Cecil. Our podcast advertising and operations specialist is Morgan Christensen. Our digital operations specialist is Holly Hutchings. Our marketing and publicity assistant is Davina Tomlin. And our intern is Brendan Pica.